Pandemonium Reigns.
Welcome, family and friends, to Pandemonium Reigns. So excited and glad to be back with you guys. I'm Dan, he's Mike. I'm pretty but hot dog. Look at this boy over here. Oh my gosh, if you're on YouTube, you are blessed and highly favored because Michael Walker is in the building. His hair is in the building. My gosh. No, I'm not gay, but man, I'm considering it.
Golly, I don't deserve this type of build-up. You think I've got a star on the Walk of Fame or something out here? My gosh.
Woo! Man, we're gonna have to give you a nickname left. I mean, with the way that you're headed right now, we're getting ready to talk Colorado football and Coach Prime. Man, you looking like I can't say it. Not appropriate words.
You're looking like a prime choice cut of meat over there, son.
I'm telling you what, boy.
We don't know why you listen, but we thank you for tuning in.
Yes. Serious note, people have our YouTube has upticked, and I don't know where it's coming from, but we're appreciative of that. Thank you for listening wherever you are. Go ahead and hit subscribe and like. It just does us a whole bunch of good when you do that for us, when you like the video, when you subscribe, when you tell somebody. We do it for free, and you would not believe how one subscribe button push will help the algorithm. It's crazy. You know what else is crazy?
What's that?
Colorado football.
Dude, is it not crazy?
I have a bunch of questions that I want us to answer before we get into their predictions and who they are and whatnot. Yep. And I think how do I want to set this up? So if you are Coach Prime, all right, you're at Jackson State. Let me ask you this. You're Coach Prime, you're at Jackson State. You're having success, but the transfer portal is not a thing.
Yeah.
Are you still taking this job?
No way. No, gosh, no. No.
I mean, talk about timing.
Yeah. I mean, this is a blessing and a curse for coaches. I mean, the schedule now just never stops. If it ever did before, it really didn't. Just spoiler alert. But the schedule is only crazier and wilder with this portal open. You've got coaches that will consider moves like this one, like no up-and-coming coach. I mean, an up-and-coming coach not named Deion Sanders would be insane for taking this job. We're about to talk about the schedule. It's pretty rough. I mean, the roster is just decimated of talent. There's bodies, but it's so lacking in talent. Mm-hmm. No way anybody takes this job without the portal being open, and I certainly don't think Deion would. I mean, he knows how to use it to an extent. I mean, I'm kind of questioning that now with just the sheer number of guys he has pushed out and helped out and guys that have left, et cetera. I don't think all these guys he wanted to leave. Like that guy that went off in the spring game. Mm-hmm. Can't tell me that Deion wants him to leave. That's not a push out. Now, maybe that guy got tampered with. They saw what he could do, something like that. I'm not neither here nor there. Probably has least the amount of plugged in Colorado football than anybody, but just what a bananas time it is in the sport. And the portal is like the cherry on top.
Yeah, no kidding. I went to the On3 website just to try to get a glimpse and be prepared for this episode. 58 players have transferred out since Deion has taken over.
Gosh, dude.
43 have come in.
Ooh.
So here's the deal.
15.
Yeah. So are you gonna be playing with all 85? Probably
no
not.
Way.
Probably
no
not.
Way.
Right. So the bad news is in 2022, Colorado was 1-11. Right? That's bad news.
Bad news.
But the good news is most of those dudes are gone.
Yeah, I mean that's true. That is true.
I can't take credit for this. I'm totally copy and pasting, but you know what? I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I like to listen to Joel Klatt. Joel Klatt is a alumni of the Colorado Buffalo. He just threw out some stuff in one of his latest podcasts that just blew my mind. And I thought, man, we've got to mention this. So in 2022, they were 1-11. Okay. They lost 10 games by 23 or more points.
Whoa.
Can you?
Oh.
At what point, as a team, and I've been right. I mean, played this game. I've been in hard locker rooms before. I've been a coach in a hard locker room. There just comes a point where it's just hard to keep things together, where you have a hard time just keeping the locker room together.
Yeah.
Get this, all 11 games by an average of 29. They lost all 11 games by an average of 29 points. Get this. This is the thing that really blew my mind. All right. So that 29, the next worst was Northwestern at 14.6.
They lost 11 games by an average of double more than Northwestern lost their games. Double it. Double it, and then a little bit of change here and there. Oh my gosh, dude. That is brutal.
Here it is. There's one more piece to this. That average of 29 point loss. And how much does it suck to be Cal, the one team that you beat? I mean, golly. Anyway.
Yeah.
That 29 point average is the fourth worst point differential for any Power 5 school this century.
Golly,
in 22 years, man.
Whew.
I would love to know the three above them. But anyway.
And now are you taking that job if you're anybody else not named Dion?
Is the transfer portal open?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to hear your answer for both, but yeah, it's open.
If it's open, I'm considering it. If it's not, no.
No way, dude. No way. I mean, there's just not that many things that you can sell with Colorado football. I mean, the conference that you're playing in is going to get easier. You're going to lose your name brands and then probably lose a whole lot more before you would ever get poached yourself.
Yeah.
The views are beautiful. There are a few things more legal in Colorado than there are in other areas, but I don't think that doesn't stop guys from doing what they want to do here and there anyway. So, I mean,
yeah.
What's your selling point if it's Colorado other than I'm Deion Sanders? I just don't know, and I'll be excited to see.
I'll say this, though. Dan Tucker couldn't get it done, but if there's anybody who can, Deion Sanders can.
I agree, and that's why I'm really excited. I hope that I change my ways, because in the past, there's no way. I mean, Deion and Jack State, they could have been on TV. I'm not watching. Colorado, I'm not watching unless I am dying. I mean, unless I'm just out of things to do. I hope that I break that trend and I watch that marriage, whatever it is, on the field this year. I've got to find time and way to do that. Maybe I'll find time during the weeks if I don't do it on Saturdays. But yeah. I'm excited, man. And I can't wait to talk about the schedule in a second.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I have another question I want to ask you.
All right, cool.
So Deion comes in, he has a team meeting, and he basically tells dudes to pack their bags, and he's got luggage coming, and it's Louis, implying that his luggage is Louis Vuitton, not his little luggage, but basically saying he's got players coming, all right?
Yeah.
He overhauls this roster. If you are a player who is already on this Colorado team, and Deion's coming in, and he's saying all these things, and he's doing all these things, is that fair to you? Is it fair?
So it's yeah, it is. It's fair because Deion isn't going to be judged about what the last coach did, which was bring that guy in and lose 11 games by 30 points on average. Deion's going to be judged by the games going forward. I believe that talent was in a really bad place. I mean, think about it. If you lose 58 and you want to lose, let's say you want to lose 40 or 50 of them, it's bad, man. It's real bad. They had Colorado legacies. They were kind of, or at least one that was encouraged to leave and look elsewhere. It's tough, but it is a business. It is a business that goes two ways, at least, not just one way. And, spoiler alert for a college kid that's playing at Colorado or anywhere, life ain't fair. If you don't know it by now you know.
Sure. If this was not the NIL and portal world, I would say, whoa, hold up, hang on. We're talking about this kid's future, his opportunities, stuff like that. Okay, but what NIL has done is basically said this is no longer a student athlete. What this person is they are an employee, right?
Absolutely.
And in order to stay employed, you have to perform, and these guys didn't perform. So yeah, you could not like it, you can like it, whatever. It's fair.
Yeah, it's fair.
The minute you introduced NIL and the way that you have not perimetered NIL, it's fair.
Yeah, it is.
Is Deion Sanders somebody you could play for?
Man, I would have thought so up until I've heard some of these things, because while I'm saying it's fair, I don't know that it's the thing that I'd want to hear. I think I'd want to hear, stuff closer to the norm, which is the norm is far from perfect, but I would want to hear those more normal, more routine coach speaky things that you may hear than pack your bags and things like that. Like, I would like to think that I would take that as a serious challenge. I'm going to overhaul my body. You're not going to recognize me versus my film from last year. But if I just lost 11 games by an average of 30 points, I'm probably not feeling great about the sport. I don't know,
Sure.
I don't know that I can play for him. I might have to see more, but on the surface, early scratching surface levels, I don't necessarily know that I could or would want to.
Yeah. So my time in sports, I did better for the guys who were positive reinforcement. If you start barking at me, I tend to shut down a little bit. Not that I couldn't be yelled at our coach, because I did have my fair share of that. I would like to think, however, that Deion in my older years would call me to the carpet, and I would want to rise to what the expectation is. We have very different personalities. And if I'm a football player and I'm excited and I'm good, I'm like, hey, let's pump some life in this thing. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like it could go both ways, but in all reality, I could see myself playing for somebody more like a Dabo than I could a Deion. So, and that stinks because Dabo's uber cheesy. But before we get into this, I do want to say I am rooting for Deion. I am excited for Colorado to be respectable and in some spotlight. And that's another thing too that I wanted to get in. Doesn't this feel, as Tennessee fans, doesn't this feel like 2009 Tennessee, where you were just in the media? You ain't done a thing. You haven't done anything, but you are in the national spotlight.
Dude, it's like 2009 Tennessee on roids. I mean, the trade-offs are that Deion is freaking Deion Sanders. Lane Kiffin was not quite that, but Tennessee made up for what Colorado may lack and not offer right now. Mm-hmm. So, dude, it's like 2009 on roids, because think about just the way the world's changed since then, the media coverage. Think about how many probably credential requests that they've got for media, whereas it was probably on the lower end of college football, which is a vastly covered sport. But Colorado, they've been bad. They've been bad for a while. It's probably skyrocketed. You've got national guys that want to know what's going on. How much can we get? How close can we get? What kind of access does he give? Dude, yeah, it's like 2009 on absolute crack.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so let's get into this. Let's talk this schedule, and just a couple of things that I want to highlight as we get into this. We had mentioned the numbers inside the transfer portal. I went and looked at who's in there, and the one name that jumps off to me is Savell Smalls.
Yes.
Transferring from Washington. In my mind, I saw him as a 4-3 backer. I knew he was a linebacker. He's listed in all three as an edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
So that changes what I saw a little bit. Now, he was a 5-star coming out of high school. In 2022, he had 7 tackles.
No on sacks, a pretty good team.
No sacks, no TFLs, no fumble recoveries, no fumbles forced, none of it. 7 tackles. Ugh. Now, listen, I get that this game is not played on a stat sheet, and you can totally, especially as an edge rusher, you can totally impact the game and not register a stat. And maybe that's his case. I just didn't see enough Washington football to know.
Yeah.
But that does not – there's nothing there that I can look at and make me go, okay, that might change this win differential. That might change this game. They did hit the portal hard for some SEC D linemen. You got the Walker kid out of Missouri, Tennessee, Amari McNeil.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Ole Miss edge rusher, I believe, and an Arkansas D lineman, if
Yeah.
I remember right. A Florida State down lineman. The list just goes on and on and on. I'm not going through this anymore. But anyway,
Yeah.
so let's get into the schedule. Several people, as I started looking at this, said this is the toughest schedule in this conference. And after you look at it, I haven't looked at everybody else, but this was tough. This is tough. And unfortunately for them, they miss Cal. Fortunately for them, they miss Washington.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's facts.
So this is going to be interesting. All right. So they're going to game one. Deion Sanders, he is facing a team that's their last game is getting thumped by Georgia. If you're on this squad, I got to imagine that you cannot wait to get on the football field again, to get this taste out of your mouth that everybody in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are probably still talking about. You're traveling to TCU. So many eyes are going to be on this game. I think this game is going to hold a ton of pressure. I've got this as a loss, though.
I do as well. Maybe if I stare at it for too long, if I get trapped in the offseason for too long and think about, what happens when TCU faces adversity for the first time in 2023, coming off their last game being a 58-point shellacking. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a way with the infusion of players or, in theory, more talented guys at Colorado. Mm-hmm. I don't see him beating that team game one on the road. I don't see it, man. That's a loss for me. That's a tough starter game. Would not want it for any. I wouldn't want to play TCU week one, if at all. I don't know how good they're going to be. I wouldn't want to play them week one, though, for sure, like you mentioned.
Sure.
That's a loss.
And think about all that TCU lost, and we're still saying this.
Yeah.
Johnson's
absolutely.
gone. Walker's gone. Duggan's gone. I mean, a lot of offensive production is gone.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Duggan, I don't know what to call him, was not even the starter going into last year. So who's this other guy, right? I mean.
Bingo.
So I'm going to take the Horned Frogs.
Man.
And then Deion's first home game, hosting Matt Rule and Nebraska. Now, I went with a win here, but I will say I'm starting to flip a little bit on my prediction, and I'm only going with a win here because that's what I predict when we did the Nebraska episode. I am starting to lean. I'm going to leave it as a win for now, but I think this is starting to shift in my mind towards Nebraska simply because Casey Thompson transfers out, which tells me you lost the job.
Yes.
Jeff Sims won it, is what I have to believe. So Matt Rule probably now knows who his Q is. That's a dangerous thing. Not that Colorado doesn't. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it as a win for now, but I've got this down as subject to change.
I'm basically in that same boat. The tide is turning for me towards Nebraska on this. The things that I like for Colorado is, again, the infusion that they've had is a little higher end, I think, than the infusion of player that Nebraska's had. The infusion of coach, Nebraska wins that right now by a landslide. The coaching talent that they brought in, that they win that by a landslide. So it's starting to turn a little bit for me. I think the unfortunate thing for Nebraska in this game is like Colorado can pick up like 3-4 yards. The first positive play that they have, like the roof could come off the entire state of Colorado. That's just the buildup that we have leading up to this era. Yeah. I mean, look at their spring game. If you need any proof, look at their spring game in the snow. Yeah. And it will not be snowing probably in September when this game is played. So it's shifting a little bit. And if this was at Nebraska, this would probably be a no-brainer for me to go the other way.
Sure.
But
for sure.
Right now, infusion of player, I'm probably going to go Colorado just still for this moment. We'll see by the time we talk about this game again when the season's upon us.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. So we're on the same path so far, 1-1. This is listed as a home game, but I can't remember if this game is neutral site or not. Colorado State. Either way, doesn't matter. Even if it's neutral site, it's going to be in Colorado, I believe, just in Denver. That's a home game, I would imagine, for the Buffaloes. I would imagine. Yeah. I've got this down as a W.
Same here. This one didn't take me too long I kind of didn't go from top to bottom or bottom to top on this schedule. I just kind of said, first, where's the wins? This was a quick one for me to find. So, W here.
Yeah. This next one that was pretty easy for me as well. There's no way that I feel that I can spin this positively for Colorado. It's at Oregon. Bo Nix is back. I don't like it. Oregon has done also some work in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I think this is an L, 2-2 for me.
This is bloodbath territory. I mean, it doesn't even matter if they're 3-0 coming in. Doesn't matter. Ugly, ugly loss here. Oregon is far superior talented. They're getting established. It's a loss for Colorado.
Agreed. And you arguably turn around and do the exact same thing, except you're just doing it at home this time.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams.
That stat about 29 points on average per loss last year. You're going to bring that back and then some for this 2-week stretch here with at Oregon and hosting USC. I mean, Caleb and Lincoln and those guys, they're not going to be caught off by how cute it is that we've got a new guy in the coaching industry and look at these transfers. These guys getting their shot. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's a Heisman campaign. It's a playoff campaign.
Yes.
And the talent, again, there is just such a ridiculous gap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bloodbath.
Agreed. Now, if things unfold like this, if they're sitting 2-3 going into this Arizona State game, there's going to be so much riding on this Sun Devil game. This is going to be massive, massive.
This is a huge stretch in their season right here. Yeah. It was this is where it got tough for me when I was getting into the finer details of the schedule.
Agreed. I have this listed as a toss-up, but I'm giving Colorado a win.
I'm doing the same because it's kind of like Arizona State was in that same really bad spot. But, they got the Oregon coordinator, Dillingham. Yeah. They got a few pieces here and there in the portal. They didn't get the big name or the transfers in that Colorado's getting. Even though it's at Arizona State in the desert, I'm going to go bust on this one as well.
Agreed. Home against Stanford. Stanford's going to have a new coach. What's his head after all these years? Oh, my gosh. His name escapes me. Help me.
Oh, no, it's gone for me, too. You know how I do. They could have announced this yesterday, and I would have forgotten.
David Shaw.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the new guy. My bad. Yes, David Shaw is out.
Yeah. No, I have no idea who the new guy is. Couldn't tell you.
Exactly.
Couldn't tell you.
Exactly.
You are too many time zones over for me to know. I don't know. With that said, Davis Mills is not taking snaps for you. But did he play at Stanford? He did. He played at Stanford. I'm going to put this down as a W for the Buffaloes.
Same. Troy Taylor is the coach of Stanford, and he's going to collect a loss to Dion on this day in Colorado.
Yikes. You know what's going to come really great for Colorado at this time?
A bye week, my friend.
Bye week.
A bye week.
A bye week, because it doesn't get any easier.
No, it doesn't.
This last stretch, this 5-game stretch, you get to breathe once, I feel like.
Agreed.
Because you're about to, I've got this last stretch at 1-4.
The way that that people said if Heupel wins 5 games or 6 games in year 1, he should be coach of the year.
Mm-hmm.
If Dion wins 2 games in this stretch, he better be coach of the year.
Agreed.
This is where it gets brutal.
Yes.
Brutal.
Yes.
Even the teams there is one team just write it down now. We're about to as a dub. The other 4 are somewhere between hard and impossible.
Yes. Agreed. You're going to come off the bye week after hopefully beating Stanford, and you're going to travel to Los Angeles and play Coach Kelly and new quarterback Dante Moore. And I don't like it. I think it's a loss.
Dude, I think schematically Kelly has still got a lot of things in the chamber. He's getting older. He's been around the block now. I like it. He's not afraid of playing a freshman. If a freshman wins the job, the freshman's going to play. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson played 10 years at UCLA to that point.
Yeah.
So, dude, it's not going to matter. I think this is where Prime really, really gets out coached. Possibly for the first time this year. It could be Nebraska. I just, again, worry about their talent. And Oregon and USC, it's going to be so ugly that we're not even going to think about coaching, I think. So I think this is really where he could get schemed up and just get kind of twisted around a good bit, because he's probably not played anything like this offense to this point of his career.
Yeah, agreed. Isn't it funny? Just to stopping at UCLA for a second. Isn't it funny how this game is just trending in the right ways for Chip Kelly? I mean, he's made it known he does not like to recruit. All right, cool. Transfer portal. Man, that sets up very well. Now he's in Los Angeles. The best thing that's happened, arguably the best thing thus far that's happened to Chip Kelly, is Bo Nix saying he's returning to Oregon. That's what allowed him to land Dante Moore. Dante's more like, I ain't sitting behind nobody. I ain't especially sitting behind no honky. I'm gonna go down to L.A. Bo Nix, never heard of her. Anyway, so nonetheless, whatever. I don't like Colorado at all in that. I don't like them at all against USC. I don't like them at all against Oregon. I don't like them all home against Oregon State. I don't like it.
No, I don't either. With what Oregon State has done, they have started doing things that we haven't really seen them do since Mike Riley, probably. I mean, they're looking better and better. I mean, I don't like them in this game. I just don't have enough reasons to based on what they've done. And a 1 year flip, I mean, even if you exchange all 85 dudes or however many scholarship guys you have, I just don't like that against some certain forms of established coaches and guys. And I don't like them in this spot. If they're going to win 2 of this 5-game stretch, it will have to be Oregon State or a little tougher at Washington State a couple weeks later. I guess if I was going to go one, I would go Oregon State. I'm not saying that right now, though. I think that's another loss for them. Yeah.
And I did this thing when I got to this point. I'm like, all right, why am I so strong on Oregon State? Is it DJ Uyagale? And I went, take him off the team. No, I still feel the same way. I think that DJ is about to have a good year, especially after all this stuff that he has now said. Did you hear about all this stuff with his time?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he basically
yeah.
threw Clemson under the bus.
Yes, I did.
Said that his hands were tied and yada, yada, yada. And anyway, Oregon State, the times that I saw them, they're physical. Ask Florida.
Yeah.
Could not resist my opportunity to do that.
My man.
Anyway, I'm gonna take the Beavers.
Yep.
You're now gonna be home against Arizona. And here's the thing I know about Arizona.
Nothing.
And that's all I know. That's it. That's all I got. I don't. Who's head coach? Who is it?
I don't think it's Jed Fish anymore. I don't think. Could be. Couldn't tell you one player. Oh, no, I could tell you one player on the team. I could. Devin Hight's there. Little
Younger
High. Yep. That's where he ended up.
Well, like he's already there?
Well, he'll be there in the fall.
Gotcha.
If he's not already, I think he's already there, but he'll be there in the fall.
Well, okay, cool. Good for him.
Rough fall there on the recruiting angle of that.
Yes. W for the Buffaloes.
W. You got to. Wins are going to be hard to come by, as we're literally laying out for you right now. Got to have this one.
Yeah. Then at Washington State, this is my second toss-up game for them, but I'm going to mark this down as a loss.
It's a loss for me because of Cam Ward, among other reasons.
Yeah.
We talked about this when we talked about, I believe, Wisconsin, because that game comes back around for Wisconsin this year. Cam Ward did some really good things last year. He's back again, doing things that we haven't seen there since, not quite doing it the Leach way, but doing things we ain't seen there in a few years. Following Leach being there, I don't feel good about this one, especially being on the road. This game's going to kick off at like 1:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which won't matter for them.
Right.
But, so I'll find out about it on Sunday, but it's a loss.
Agreed. Loss for game 12.
At Utah, bro.
At Utah? This is how you're going to end this? At Utah? When Utah probably is staring at the Rose Bowl again?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
I ain't doing it. And I get that Cam Rising is going to be tore his ACL, I believe, in January. But now we're talking about game 12.
Exactly.
Okay. Loss.
Absolute loss.
At Utah. I mean, that's enough for me. I mean, it could be freaking Jim Bob Cooter at quarterback for Utah, and I just don't like it. I don't like it for Colorado.
Oh, man, no doubt.
So were you and I in perfect sync right there?
We might have been in perfect sync. I think we were. I don't know how we do this.
I'm looking at it.
This is so weird.
We both got it 5-7. Exact same wins and losses. I mean,
I don't know what's up with that other than that we're the same person.
I could tell you why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so that puts us both predicting those guys at 5-7. I'm sure anybody on this team, coaching staff included, be like, "Oh my gosh, how did we miss Cal? Like, can we?" But at the same time, props to them. Your out of conference games are a team that just played in the national championship, a former rival. Hey,
Yeah.
I love that, bringing that
Same.
back. Colorado State, who is annually on your schedule anyway.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's just when you hit Oregon, it's Pac-12 conference. It's nothing but Pac-12 conference, and man.
Brutal finish.
So we both got them at 5-7. This is going to move us into our best case and worst case scenario for these guys. And this is the part that I think I'm most excited about, because I think this is a little more indicative of how things might unfold, because this is arguably, maybe in history, the hardest schedule to predict.
Yeah.
The hardest team to talk about. Who are they? I mean,
yeah.
You can't go off last year. So anyway, best case, worst case scenario, I really want to know what you have first on this. Best case scenario.
Okay. I got you.
I might have to steal some content.
No, you're good. You're good. The best case is that Shedeur Sanders is the absolute truth. I mean, he is able.
Yeah.
I said one time probably in the Pruitt era, some garbage, that if Tennessee could just get a quarterback that could do some things to pick up the rest of the team, how quickly that would fix things. Didn't know it would be Hendon Hooker. I would have thought it would be a Nico or a freshman, a 5-star, or something like that. You know what I mean? They need Shedeur Sanders to be unbelievable. I mean, to make a case for going to New York. Unfortunately, the team's going to probably be around 500 at best, so he's probably not doing that. Mm-hmm. They need him to carry things. They need those other guys, your Travis Hunters, to just do unbelievable things, shut down one side of the field defensively. Because the bad thing is and I know that when I looked at their roster, it's a spring roster, and there's been more change there than there's ever been at one school in an offseason.
You couldn't even go by the spring roster. I went for the same thing. I'm like, well, this is irrelevant.
It was garbage. I mean, and that's the case, though, at normal schools that didn't have anywhere near this much turnover. It's kind of garbage at this point of the season, because so much is subject to change. There's still so much conditioning that's going to happen. But those guys that are listed, man, especially their trenches, they are thin. They don't have a lot of length and height. I think the worst case is that it just, it looks like 1-11 with 29-point average losses, but it turns out to be 3-9 and not much changed. Because as a reminder of probably every time we talk about this, those guys that transferred for a reason. Amari McNeil's case, we can speak to that one. It's playing time and being down the depth chart. Is that the case for a lot of these guys? And we know it's not for the guys that followed Dion from his last stop, but for how many of these guys will that be the case? Or can they be a difference maker even in the Pac-12? And if they can't, I think the worst case is probably like 3 wins tops, not a lot changing, a lot of games looking the way that those Oregon and USC games are going to go. But again, I think your best case is that those top level guys that you brought with you and that you've brought in, that you've portaled in, things like that can really, really, really flash for you and help you find a way to get to 5 or 6. Looking at 5 or 6 wins as a benchmark for a good first year is tough, but boy, they were in a bad spot.
Yeah. So piggybacking just for a second off your transfer portal thing and reasons why they entered to the portal, I realize how many are coming in. 43 have come in since Dion's arrival. So I realize that I'm only saying this about one. But the Walker kid transferring from Missouri is a Colorado native and a Colorado legacy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
Yep.
So as far as that goes. All right. So my best case scenario for these guys. I think your best case scenario, and I didn't even consider Shedeur, but I think your best case scenario for these guys is like you actually beat Nebraska. Yeah. I think if you beat Nebraska, that really changes. Think about if you've been a lifelong Colorado Buffalo fan, right? And in the past 2 decades, you've been hot garbage. And if you've been a Colorado football fan for that long, you are familiar with the Nebraska-Colorado rivalry, right? You understand that it's bitter. So if you find a way to win that, that's setting you up well to get to 5-7, and even 4-8 looks better than 3-9. I feel like there's
absolutely.
a huge gap between 3-9 and 4-8. Huge gap.
More.
If you find a way to do that, and again, you and I both said this, we think that's shifting. If you find a way to do that, if you can say in your narrative that Deion is 1-0 at home, you know what I'm saying? Because I just don't like your chances against TCU at all. But if you can get home and you can get a win against Nebraska, you're going to be able to look back. Even if this season goes south from that point on, you can say, yeah, okay. But we think things are heading the right way because Deion beat Nebraska.
Absolutely.
And say what you want to about Matt Rule, Nebraska, whatever. Deion beat Nebraska. There's no way that was happening in the past 2 decades. It just wasn't going to happen. Okay.
Agreed. And that's big for the old school, your blue haired, if you will, the old Colorado fans. That's big for them because everything is probably like, what is this sport I'm even a fan of right now for them? As it is for many of us.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. So no, I love that addition. So I'm going to assume, and I'm going to be a little bit biased here, that football is not as big of a god in Colorado as it is in the South. All right. I'm just going to assume this. And maybe if you're in Colorado, you're more concerned with the Broncos or something of that nature, the Nuggets, whatever. I think your worst case scenario is you lose to TCU, you lose to Nebraska, and you get into a dogfight with Colorado State. But if you lose those opening 2 games and you have an ugly win against the Colorado State, and now you're going into Oregon, USC, what momentum do you have against Arizona State, against Stanford? You ain't got that. I think that's your worst case scenario. I think you go 0-2 and you get into some kind of nasty little dogfight with Colorado State. Because say what you want to, but Colorado State, I think, is going to say, "Here's our game, boys. This is the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Let's shut Deion Sanders up. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of talking about him. I mean, people in our locker room are talking about Deion Sanders, right? Okay. Yep. No, we're not doing that. So I think Colorado State, even though they might not have very big fists, are going to come out swinging.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Anyway, so if you lose that, or if you go 1-2, potentially 0-3, whatever, and you start to be like, you get some of those fans are like, well, this is just who we are, right?
Yeah.
People stop showing up. I'm not saying that people are going to be out on Deion. It's just going to be one of those, well, maybe this is farther out in front of us than we thought. You know what I mean? I think if you get 1-2, I'm just starting to realize how important this Nebraska game is. Nebraska and especially Arizona State.
Yeah.
And the way that this whole schedule sets up, you got to find a way to get momentum and mojo and something to believe in going into Arizona State and Stanford. If they go 2-10, is anybody in their right mind going, headed in the right direction?
Ooh, no, man.
Right?
I mean, no.
And then 3-9, you're arguably going, man, I don't know. Man, have we wasted this? Of course, it's year 1, but this is the world that we live in. What have you done for me lately? The gap between 3-9 and 4-8 is massive. God,
it's huge.
So big. So big. But you and I both said 5-7. All right. So what's your ceiling for these guys and what's your floor?
So I think every time that we do this, and this is our 3rd one so far, that I'm always just a hair optimistic for the better side of things. And even 5-7, I really think that 4-8 is so much more likely. You and I agreed on the picks, and it certainly could play out that way, but it's not likely to just because we put that into the universe. The ceiling, I think, the absolute, you did it all. You have just, my gosh, what a coaching job. He will be coach of the year in this instance. I think would be like 8-4. And I mean, that is losing the absolute games that we're talking about. Yeah.
Wow.
This is what I'm saying. Like, this is that optimism. Like, yeah, they could do it. It's going to be fine. That would be losing to Oregon, USC, Utah, and you pick it. I mean, we picked many of those other teams to beat them. So you name it. 7-8 wins is your ceiling. 8 is unreal. If they win 8 games, it's unbelievable.
Coach of the year. Coach of the
7.
year.
I mean, 7 might be coach of the year. It really might. That's how hard this is. The schedule and the rebuild. That's what I'm saying. I'm always on the optimistic end of it. So I'm going to say the floor is that 2-10 that we just spoke of. I'm going to say that 2-10 is the floor. Think about that. 2-10 to 8-4. Think about the span that is.
I just don't know. Okay, we agreed entirely on the results, on the predictions. I can't get to 8-4.
No,
if
I understand.
If they don't have a single injury, I can't get to 8-4.
Yeah.
If they beat Nebraska, I can't get to I can't get to 8-4.
I feel you. 8-4 is like the wheels fell off for TCU. They have nothing. They're still beat down about last year. Nebraska, they win that game like we've talked about. That's, that would in theory get you to 3-0 if you can beat Colorado State after that. And then that requires you to lose to, again, no more than one team not named Oregon, USC, and Utah. And it's not happening. But again, that's the way I play out those best and worst. So those ceiling and floors on the record was.
I felt like me absolutely pushing the ceiling. I mean, just pushing it is 6-6.
That's fair.
Because let's say you lose Nebraska, maybe you can find the win at Washington State. I don't think you're doing it against Utah. I don't think you're Oregon State, UCLA, USC, Oregon, TCU. I just think those are losses.
Oh, they are very likely losses. Yeah.
So my absolute push is 6-6. I'm going to say for record, your ceiling is 5-7. I think you hit your ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5-7. I think your floor. I wrote down 4-8, but as we've gone through this, there's a case for 3-9. I'll stick with my original ink, 4-8. How? God, this makes me feel like 2011 all over again. Anyway.
Hey, I can take you back to 2011. I'm gonna do it right now.
No.
If you look at I'm doing it. Okay, I'm gonna take you back to 2012, not 2011. If you look at the Colorado roster, and then if you scroll on down to the coaches, you look at their personnel, who their coaches are, etc. You're scrolling. Everybody's got a picture. Everybody's got, if they're a player, they've got their social media tags, their ats listed out there. But if you trickle into the coaches and you trickle across Sal Sinceri's name, the dude doesn't have a picture on the site.
You're kidding.
No. There are some after him that do not have a picture associated with their name, but he's the first one, and I was like, they nailed it. They're going to be all right.
Bro. You know what that means? For the Colorado listeners out there, that means that Tennessee put Sal Sinceri in his grave.
Yeah, we really did. And he helped, but it really happened.
My dear. Hey, I want to go back to my best case just for a second.
Let's do it.
So as a college head coach, he started in 2020, Dion did.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a weird year. They only played 7 games. He went 4-3. Jackson State, 2021, 11-2. Jackson State, 2022, 12-1. Holding a 27-6 record at Jackson State.
Wow.
So
that's actually a little better than I thought.
So coming back to this best case, worst case scenario, that Nebraska Colorado State game, I don't know what it was like for him in high school when he was coaching high school ball, which is still weird to think about.
Yeah.
But has he really faced adversity? Has he led a locker room that's struggling to find wins? How does Dion handle that? Do I think he can? I think he can. Can. But we haven't seen it yet. So I'm gonna stick hard with this 5-7. I'm gonna stick hard with this 5-7 ceiling. I'm gonna stick hard with this 4-8 floor. But even still, let's say they hit their floor 4-8. If you're a Colorado Buffalo fan, you just went 4-8. You beat, let's say you went 4-8. Let's say you beat Colorado State, you beat Arizona State, Stanford, and Arizona. How you feeling?
Dude, like you're saying, that's a jump. And I know that the the old school fans, if they're like they are in the Southeast, and I cannot speak to it at all, that is a massive step, and you have to look at it as such. I mean, he's already bringing guys in through the portal. That'll help him. And not that he's even going to need help with his pitch, but with Colorado's part of the pitch that they have to hold up to, it's only going to make it fall on more ears.
Yeah.
Now, he's got a long, long way to go if you want to talk them being any sort of dangerous, any form of dangerous to the big names. Of course, they'll probably never face off with the big names in conference unless he leaves for another job. He won't go against the USC's as a real contender. The Oregon's, I'm sorry, not the Oregon's, it's UCLA, isn't it? Or USC and UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
He won't go against those teams as a real contender unless things just change. But, I mean, that's only going to help. I mean, you got to look at it as a big step.
Okay, so that's a great conversation. Yes, you do. You do have to look at it as a big step. And let's say that happens, and now the conference realignment situation happens. There's a potential where you are out of the Pac-12 and you're now sitting in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Which I think there's an argument that says, man, this plays out in your favor. Man, this does not play out in your favor.
That's the one that I tend to fall for right now. You know, as we're talking about this, you just can't convince me that it's going to be there more than 3 or 4 years.
Really?
Whether it's because it went terrific and he got scooped up, or it went so bad that he said, I'm going off grid. You're never going to see me again. I think there's way too many reasons that 4 or 5 years, he ain't doing this at Colorado. And I don't know what his aspirations are. Maybe Florida State. I don't know. But I mean, you just can't convince me right now that he's like, I'm going to be at Colorado for the long haul. I can't believe that right now.
If in year 3, if he's looking at 9-3 records, 10-2 records,
he's going to get scooped. If he wants to be.
Gonna say the opposite, actually. I think he's gonna take pride in look at what I've built and watch what I can turn this into. I don't know. Yeah. He strikes me as a different breed.
He is.
Of people. So
he wants to prove you wrong more than I think anything. And like what he should be hearing is that this is impossible. Like that's what he should be hearing because it looks impossible right now.
Yeah. I got nothing left on him, man.
I don't either, man. But like I said, I hope I can just get myself an extra cup of coffee and stay out for that Pac-12 after dark when they're, kicking with Oregon State and Washington State at 2 a.m.
Yeah. No kidding. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. In the words of Deion Sanders, the boys at Pandemonium Reigns, we ain't hard to find.
Yeah. We coming.
We coming. All right, we coming. So make sure you push that like button, that subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out with us. As always, thank you for letting us tickle your ears. We hope you enjoyed this segment on the Colorado Buffaloes and are excited to watch them as much as I am. Michael said he's not doing it. He said he's not doing it.
Better play before 8 o'clock, baby.
I'm telling you, my eyes will be on Colorado, Nebraska. But until then, your eyes better be on Pandemonium Reigns. We love you guys. God bless. Go Vols.
UDO.
Pandemonium Reigns.